we need to settle in with the bowlologist, Damien Fleming. He's the man at functions, on golf courses, at cricket grounds, at dinner, who everyone gravitates to with their question. So I thought, right, let's air some of those questions. Damien Fleming, welcome.
Gerard, listeners, when Bono wrote the song It's a Beautiful Day, it wasn't about today. It's a bit more like my favourite band, Kiss, Gene Simmons singing God of Thunder.
Yes.
That's added 20 minutes coming in today.
Good job
and we
getting
live close
here.
together.
We do.
You know the timings, and I allowed myself a lot, and I've just got here.
Well done. So the 5 defining questions of the Ashes, I thought there's nobody better out on the street and in the public who's getting hammered with these questions every day. How would you rate interest levels?
Yeah, very good. Very good. I actually said to a mate the other day, his question was, on the golf course, who's opening the batting?
Yeah.
And I did turn to him. I said, I'm sick of answering that question. But I don't think I've been asked a question so far out. This was happening months ago, pretty much after the West Indies series, Test series. So, I don't think we've got a definitive answer, but what I'm loving is we're talking about it. There's a one-day series, T20 series against India, but there's still 2 more Shield games to go. And I'm of the impression that they're going to have a pretty big influence on at least one of the spots opening up.
Yep.
I think Labuschagne's going to have to play, and he's done it the way I want everyone to do it, with just hundreds in Shield cricket. The List A ones don't interest me as much, but they're not awful. But hundreds in Shield cricket, batting time. But he's a number 3. So I want us to be able to find this summer, Usman Khawaja, let's hope he has a good series, but it could be his last series. We need to find an opener that's going forward. And if we go makeshift, names like even Mitchell Marsh has been thrown up there. Should we throw Travis Head, Labuschagne, Cam Green? But in the end, if it doesn't come off, we're in real trouble. And, I think there needs to be incentive in Sheffield Shield cricket to open, do well, and that's the process of being selected to play Test cricket for Australia.
Yep. You have cautioned against this previously, and I think hindsight would say you're right. All right, so let's zero right in on the questions you are getting asked most often. And you can play along here. The 40 Wings temper text is 0433 98 11 16. A great night's sleep, night after night after night. That is the difference. The difference is temper. Question 1 is, what will Australia's batting lineup look like?
Good question, Gerard. Well, at the moment, it's an ever-evolving thing. And as I said, I'm putting currency on Sheffield Shield runs. So even though Usman hasn't scored hundreds, he's been scoring runs. So I've got Usman at opening up and Labuschagne at 3, which does cause some congestion in the middle order, isn't it, with Cam Green? Bo Webster hasn't played yet. And then I've got concerns on the 5th bowler. Hopefully we don't need it. But, I want Webster or Green to be bowling quality overs. So in the Sheffield Shield, Matty Renshaw scored 100. So the Test cricket selector fan in me, when he gets picked in the one-day team, I'm going, why? Just keep him in Sheffield Shield. He gets 1 more 100. I've got Renshaw in. And also a component which I didn't think about until the other day was they opened together for Queensland, Renshaw and Khawaja. How much credence do the Australian selectors put on that they know each other, know each other's games? And Renshaw, this is not the Matty. He's had an interesting career, hasn't he? Matty Renshaw played as a 20-year-old, made hundreds, but they were dour hundreds. Then he got found out a little bit in spinning conditions, wasn't playing white ball cricket, and then become a really flexible 50-over cricketer and big bash player in the middle order playing spin. So Australia pick him in the middle order in Sydney, then pick, because of his ability to play spin, pick him for that first test in India ahead of Travis Head, right? So that's one of the horror decisions of this group, and they haven't made many. And I think we found out Renshaw playing spin against flat pitches on BBL, you can do your laps and reverses and all that, but with inconsistent bounce, spin at both end, that didn't work. If he comes back, he's got to be opening the batting. But Jason Gillespie's got a bit of a theory that they've brought him into the one-day team. They want him around the group, and he's already shown he can make Test match hundreds. So I'm not sure if he's in the T20 squad, but if he's not, he'll play another Shield game. So I think if he gets runs, he's ahead. And he's no longer as dour. He does progress the scoreboard, because that's the other issue, isn't it? Last summer, Khawaja, McSweeney, Labuschagne, even when they lasted an hour, 80 minutes, in the end, Smithy's coming in at 2 for 20 off 15, in trouble. But, that's what Constas brought, didn't he?
Yep.
Not only in Melbourne, those 2 quick 20s in Sydney got into 5 or 6 and over. So that's where I think Jake Weatherald's still in the game too, because of his ability to score quickly. And, Constas is falling further and further down. I think he'd have to do something remarkable in the next couple of tests to play.
All right. So Usman to be decided, Marnus, Smith, Head, and then to be decided between Green and Webster.
That's just another concern. We haven't spoken about the fast bowlers yet.
So
Greenie's side, Bo, they're saying it's a minor issue. He hasn't played yet, Big Bo.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot.
I'm stressed.
There are too many questions, to be honest. What happens if Pat Cummins doesn't play the whole series or the majority of the series?
Well, it's going to be advantage England, who are going to have the fast bowling stocks are interesting, aren't they? We'll talk about England if we've got time, but if Wood or Archer can play one test, and rotate, they're genuine pace. I mean, Mark Wood at Headingley last tour, his pace was threatening, and it really shook up the Australians. Besides Mitchell Marsh, actually, but how resilient are Archer and Wood? That's a big risk to play them in one team, let alone, if they are rotating, can they get through a test? Because they're fast mediums, Atkinson, Cass, Tongue are all handy. I think they'll bowl well. But then I've got Wokes, who just retired. His stats in England are better than Botham and Stokes as an all-rounder, and particularly with the ball. He averages 50 a ball out in Australia, Wokes. So will that be Atkinson or will that be Cass? So I think they need a Wood or Archer to be playing alternative tests. So for Australia, no Cummins. One, you lose his captaincy, although Stephen Smith's an amazing captain. But the thing I've noted with Pat Cummins' captaincy, which we've never been able to have, is when the captain senses this is a big partnership, when we need a big wicket, when Kohli comes out, you know who will grab the ball as soon as Joe Root comes out? If he plays, it'll be Pat Cummins. So what we lose is a fast bowler, but a fast bowler who's captaining the team to be able to enforce himself into the contest. So I think mentally it'll be such a big win for England for Cummins not to play. And then we go through our attack. It's an older attack. It's one of the greatest attacks still. When you put Boland in for one of those three, it is sheer quality. Stark has shown real resilience. Over 100 tests, second Australian fast bowler to do that. Hazelwood has only played 5 tests in a summer once in the last 6 years. So do you get more resilient as you get into the mid-30s? I don't think so. And the other thing about, we love Big Bolo, but he's never played a whole summer. So he's come in and generally on tracks that have been suited to him, and he played back-to-back last year. So for me to think that those three can play all 5 tests, I've got real doubts about that. So who's the next guy in?
So I feel like the next guy in will play one test match.
Easily.
Who is it? This is your category. If you had to say we need one bowler for one test match, who is it?
The tough one is mirroring up talent, who I think, could get wickets at test level, and resilience. So straight away, I think Michael Neser plays. It's a different trajectory, 6 foot, but, quality swing bowler, swings it both ways, very fit, excellent bat, great fielder. So he'd be the first one in for me. There's been players like Brendan Doggett around the squad. I think even Sean Abbott's been around the squad. Now, I don't think Sean will be a superstar, but the thing is, he bowls tough and he bowls a heavy ball. So he could do a job for 1 or 2 tests. But see how I'm not mentioning many young bowlers?
Yep.
Geez, I love the look of that Vidler from Queensland in the Sheffield Shield final. The question for me is, he bowled beautifully in the Shield final. I'm thinking, get him in the squads. Doesn't play at all. Played 3 T20 games maybe 6 weeks ago. He's got a hot spot. What's happened? You don't get a hot spot after 3 T20 games. And just about all the really good under-19 bowlers, Beardman and co, from that World Cup team that Constas and Ollie Peake was in, I think they're all out with hot spots. Spencer Johnson, do I think he's got the talent? Yes. He couldn't, I don't think he'd get through a test match. Jai Richardson, last test match, Fifer against England last series. Is he good enough? Yes. Am I backing him to get through a test match? No. Fergus O'Neill's an interesting one, isn't it? Averages 20 in first-class cricket. Just finds a way of getting wickets, like a Philander type from South Africa. Do you get him around the squad and have a real good look at him? I mean, it's going to be different. It's not that 135 to 145 pace.
Yep.
But does he have a knack of getting wickets? But there is real questions. I mean, if Hazelwood can play every test, then everything's solved. But I think if Cummins was fit, Boland was going to play 2 or 3 tests anyway. There was going to be a rotation in the quicks.
Yeah. All right. One bowler for 1 test. That's Michael Neser. Can England BAZBALL in Australia?
Well, they're not BAZBALLing like the last Ashes tour. They're not going at a run a ball, 50 over type cricket. I watched that Indian series and it was fascinating. It was a great series, but their run rate is coming down to 4.5, which is still good clip, which is still entertaining. But I call it BAZBALL light. There's been some tweaking because it's not successful. They don't win a lot of test series away from home. They haven't qualified for the World Test Championship. And even though they mock it, particularly Ben Stokes, you can't tell me that group wouldn't want to win the World Test final at Lord's. So I think they've tweaked it a bit to give themselves to win more and in particular Ashes and get into that test final. They've got some really good players. Duckett, I think, is a really good player. Crawley, they play him to come off 2 or 3 times. Number 3 is a real concern for him. Ollie Pope's probably Pope's number 5. Root's a gun. How's Brook going to come out here, Harry Brooks? His figures so far suggest he's gifted. Smith, the wicketkeeper, looks a really good player. So against our quality attack on pitches that have got more grass, a Kookaburra ball that's got an extra lacquer and rubber to reinforce the seam, the fact is the last 4 years, batting's become harder in Australia. Where BAZBALL does have a chance, if you look back at last summer, bowler-dominated Test series versus India, the batsmen that went on to get hundreds all played a bit of BAZBALL. Well, I mean, BAZBALL's inspired by Travis Head, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last series, and they go, well, why can't we all bat like that? So Trav got a couple of hundreds, man of the matches. Stephen Smith, laborious 50 in Queensland, but then his last 50 to get to 100 was amazing. Then his 100 at Boxing Day was as free-flowing as I've seen Smithy, taking them on. You've got Jaswal from India, bit of BAZBALL. Even Reddy, I thought, batted in that style. And then you got Constas in Sydney and in Melbourne, that classic Boxing Day 60-odd against India. So then that's got me thinking about, if you keep waiting for the bad ball like, say Usman, McSweeney and Marnus did last summer, and they're a quality attack, it doesn't come. And eventually your name's on one of those deliveries. So does BAZBALL have a bit of a go because they do take it on and put it back on to the Australian bowlers? So by saying all that, it's only making it more intriguing for me, this Ashes series.
Yep. Will Archer and Wood last? You've touched on this. So you think 1 for each test match?
Maximum.
They've got to have one of them present in each test match.
And I think if they do get through, that's such a win for England. Archer got through a couple against India, didn't he? And if they bowl well and pitches are green and moving, you bowl the team out quicker. So you bowl less deliveries. I think it's very dependent on Ben Stokes. Watching Stokes against India, geez, he's a good bowler. You forget how gifted he is. He swings the ball both ways, still pacey enough, good bouncer. Last tour, he sort of took on that enforcer role and bowled too many bounces. No, when he pitches it up, he moves it. But he's had some significant injuries, and he got another one, I think, in the 100, whether it was a shoulder or a hammy. If Stokes is fit to bowl 10 quality overs and they feel that, then they'll take the chance on playing Archer one test and Wood. Wood hasn't played for a long time. He's the one that I think could potentially not play at all.
The idea versus the reality there is they're worlds apart. And the final question for today is, how should the pitchers be prepared? Do we want spicy pitches? We don't want roads, do we?
I don't think roads would hurt us.
Okay.
And I'd love Sydney to be a turner because our one advantage is spin. Nathan Lyon, with these changes in pitches and balls, has still found a way, hasn't he? And even when he's not getting wickets, he builds pressure. England don't have a quality spinner. You know, Bashir, I'm not sure what he averages. Is it close to 40 odd? Leaks runs. They got Will Jack, who played in Pakistan. He slogs them, but just bowls darts. But they might use that to tie up an end. And Joe Root bowls handy off spin. So I don't think I think the curators have found a routine by leaving extra millimetres of grass on pitches. So I know what I'd like. I wouldn't mind. I'm a bit flatter in turning because Nathan Lyon's a massive advantage. But I couldn't see them too much different than last summer, which the ball generally moved for most of the day.
Our 4-week build-up to this Ashes series with Damien Fleming. So just as you leave us, you're the most optimistic man in cricket, I believe. On the scale of Glenn McGrath 5-0 and Stuart Broad, worst Australian team in a generation, where are you on the optimism scale?
Well, I'm closer to Pigeon, and I'm not just saying that because he's one of my best mates, but we've got our new podcast, The Fast Bowling Cartel. McGrath, Gillespie and myself. Make sure you download it on all good podcast providers. I'm more optimistic there. I'm still going, unless our fast bowlers just break down, I've still got us winning 4-1.
Okay.
But they are a significantly better team than the one that come out a few years ago in COVID.
All right. We'll keep our countdown going next week.
Thanks,
Damien
Gerard.
Fleming.